hidden Markov model is based on Markov model, and Markov model itself is a state machine. So whenever I say the word state machine, it means that it would be having some states and then a mechanism for movement between these states. So if I talk about Markov chain, so what is a Markov chain? For Markov chain, number one, we should have a set S which consists of finite set of states. And then this Markov chain, it will help for that state transition thing. So state transition means that we will move from one state to the another state. So then another thing is that this movement is stochastic or non-deterministic or probabilistic. So stochastic or probabilistic means that it will be its values would be not discrete values, they would be in the range of 0 to 1. And then there are two things. If it stays in the same state, then it is called emission, and if it moves from one state to the another state, this is called transition. This Markov chain would be memoryless. Memoryless means that it doesn't store information about other states except its own state, and then it is homogeneous. Homogeneous means that at one time it will be in only one state. So formally it would be a Markov chain. Basically it is a triplet of three things. Number one is Q, which is our set of states which are finite. Then it has probability or state transition probability, which is P, and it stands for Q. X1 is equal to S. X1 is equal to S means that it is in some state which is S, small s. And then we have A. A represents transition probabilities. Transition probabilities means that when it moves from small state S to the next state. And this T information should be in the set of complete states, which is X. So for each state S, T is a subset of Q, and the transition probability is equal to AST, which is equal to probability of Xi is equal to T time, which is given by Xi minus 1 previous state, which is from the set of states S. Then what would be the output? Output of the model is the set of states at each time instance. So at time instance 0 it would be S1, then at time t1 it would be S2, and so on. And then what are different properties? The probability of each symbol Xi depends only on its previous state. So if I say that we have two states, then the current state, it only depends on the previous state. So it is just like a unigram thing. Unigram thing means that it is dependent on only one thing, one information, and that information is its only previous state. Here I have given an example of a Markov chain thing. The left hand side we have shown this sunny thing, here we have shown this rainy thing, and here we have shown clouds. So what is happening? These all things are together with its only previous state. For example, this sunny or this cloudy things, these are just can be reached by making information or getting information from these previous stages only. So here I have given an example how we can make a Markov chain model. Suppose we have two friends, let's say A and B, and they usually talk on some telephone line, and then what happen? A and B lives in some distant area, and then they talk on telephone, and their talking is that, okay, so the person which is B, basically he performs three things. Number one is walking, number two shopping, and the number three is cleaning. And how he performs these things? He's based on the weather conditions. If it is rainy, then he either shops or cleans his home, and if it is sunny, he walks. So what happens? How the person A can guess that what he will be doing at the moment? He can do this using our random machine model or Markov model. So how it proceeds? That basically there are two states. States are basically what are weather conditions, which can be either rainy or sunny. What are observations? Observations are walk, shop, and clean. So at each state he can either walk, shop, or clean. Then state probability. State probability means that what is the starting probability or initial probabilities of the person in different stages. So for rainy it is the 0.6, and for sunny it is 0.4. Then we have transition probabilities. So what are those transition properties? Let's say it is rainy and it will remain rainy. The transition probability is 0.7. So from one state to other state it will remain in the same state, which is rainy. Probability is 0.7, and from rainy to sunny this probability is 0.3. So it is very less probability that the state will move from rainy to sunny. Similarly, if it is sunny, then it moves to rainy. So state 1 transform into state rainy. Its probability is 0.4, and from sunny to sunny it is 0.6. So then we have emission probabilities. Number one, transition probabilities were changes in the states, and then we have emission probabilities. Emission probabilities means that what is being emitted from a state. So for example, if we have two states, rainy and sunny, so emission probability of rainy is that he will walk. There are very few chances when it is raining. He will just walk 0.1% of time. He will go for shopping 0.4 times and clean 0.5. So high emission probability is of cleaning. And when it is sunny, high probability is that he will walk, which is 0.6. So if I make a graphical interface for this thing, it would be something like this. So in the basic thing, he will start, the system starts, or the state machine starts. Then there are two states, either rainy or sunny. So if it is rainy, and here in this state, which is transition probability, it is high, which is 0.7. Similarly, this is transition probability, and then between states, these are transition probabilities between rainy and sunny. And what are emission properties now? So emission properties are basically relationship of different observations from these states, which are walk, shop and clean. So important thing to note here is that these emission properties are connected with both these stages. So rainy is connected with these. Similarly, sunny is also connected with these. So emission properties are those properties which are basically being observed from these states. On the other hand, transition properties are just moving from one state to the other state. So using this information, we can make any Markov chain diagram from any textual data.